Right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Floxamal and the final refrain. We've got another one of our challenger matches going on tonight. Final refrains, new one of our new media members, Strawman, just did his first uh, solo stream. Sorry. Of one of these challenger matches on Sunday. So now we actually got him in playing a game against XJoanieX. This will be an interesting one to see. So Strawman's been we hosted a couple of these games already or matches already throughout the tournament. He's talked a lot about thralls. I expected him to be bringing a thrall deck. In fact, though, he is bringing this GR monster. Um, this thing just looks crazy disruptive. So we've got the double market fluctuations in there. He names it Fluctuating Well of Dimensions. Dimension? Fluctuating Well of Dimension? Need to write that down. And this is one of those decks where before the Missile Officer Myers nerf, this thing probably went crazy with what it could do in terms of the market fluctuations and drawing and the Well of Memory and everything. It's still going to be a crazy strong deck. Well of Memory, Island of Misfit Toys here. We've got the Multi-Dimensional Rescue as well as the Missile Officer Myers and a Forging Alliance, so it does still have a key cheat in there, even if it's not the normal one. Grizzly Exchange being one of those weird cards to kind of force you or your opponent to be haunted. Tons of value in the Geistoid. It's got the Veil of Ectoplasm as well. Yeah, just some crazy stuff. Double Demo with the Veil is also very interesting. Yeah, lots of discard pips as well. So even if you're not finding some of the things, this is going to be pretty efficient. Also has the Ceaseforge. So we'll see if Jonie's deck has some artifact control, but lots of different things to be scared in there. But you also just have to try and get haunted fast. Otherwise, those market fluctuations can just totally take out one of your turns. We also do have two Historian Lee Darkens, which are able to let you market flux twice in the same turn with the same card if it is on the board and ready to reap. So it'll be a little bit interesting. There's a lot of recursion, a lot of efficiency. I don't know that there's a ton of creature control. We've got the Into the Warp. Unprepareds, I guess, can do some stunning and stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. This is also going to be a fast game because of Jonie's deck. Let's take a look at that deck quick. Joanie, of course, bringing the Amber Drake deck. We saw her pilot in round 1. We've got the red and the yellow in here with the double Gift of Amber, Ritual of Tognath, so plenty of ways to kill it yourself. This thing is just tons of gas. Also has the Skippy the Gloriouses, which do actually work as soft artifact control. I think those are going to be very, very important cards in this matchup because we saw the Island of Misfit Toys. So if you're Joanie and you just discard a Skippy the Glorious, especially on a Geistoid turn, maybe with one of those Stratowise discard pips, you can actually just use that Island of Misfit Toys for yourself. That could be pretty nasty. They don't do as much, unfortunately, against like the Ceaseforge or the Well of Memory, but that's something that you really got to look out for if you're relying on that as Strawman. What else we got in here? So the double manifestations, again, just lots of gas in here. We've got the Titan Sentry and Empyrean Charge. There is a little bit of archiving, but most of the stuff that Strawman's deck is doing seems to be more hand focused. But you do have the double Vapor Imps, which are going to make you draw a little bit less. I don't know. I think there's definitely a disruption game plan here with this dis as well against Strawman's deck. But take a look. Overall, here's our stats. Again, Joanie's deck on the left there with really a very fast game plan with those Drakes if you're able to find them and blow them up. And then Strawman's doing some disruption, trying to get that stuff into the discard rather than onto the board using those market fluctuations. And then again, that Ceaseforge can be huge for really slowing down the Amber Drake plan because again, there's no hard artifact control in Joanie's deck that we saw, even though it does have the 3 different key cheats. This could be an interesting matchup. I'm excited to see it. All right. Looks like they've got the game up here. Again, the stakes on this are a Amber Skies deck for the winner of this one. It's tough to call. Strawman's deck is going to be fast while also doing the disruption. Joanie's deck is just going to be very fast if you can find the right cards there. You do have to be a little bit careful what you're playing when, if you're Strawman, especially looking out for those skippies. And I mean, Titan Sentry, it just, you never know how much it's actually going to do, because as soon as it comes down, it does that random archive from hand. And at that point, all of the plans you had for dealing with it might be just out the window. So it's kind of it's an interesting disruption card. Even if it's not there for like the key cheat or whatever, it can still do a lot. I need to get Joanie's deck name on here. So Twilight Meon, the Instructor of Light. I think we are good to go. Okay, so it looks like we've got Strawman on the bottom here. Playing the Fluctuating Well of Dimension. Sounds like a Yu-Gi-Oh card, I'm not gonna lie. The of some things always make me think of that. All right, and then we've got Joanie on top on the Twilight Meon. All right, so it looks like we've got Strawman going first. No mulligan on either so far. Right, unfortunately, it does sound like some kind of like well of dimension, or the fluctuating well of dimension just sounds like something. Ooh, we've got a turn 1 market fluctuations, getting rid of some of that dis stuff there, as well as the Stratowise. It's just brutal. Losing his second market fluctuations there and the Historianly Darkened. So really tough. You kind of have to take that chance, but there's a chance there that as Strawman, you actually get a pretty crazy follow-up here. Unfortunately for him, it does discard the other market fluctuation and the Historianly Darkened. We do have a pretty good follow-up from Joanie, though, getting the Amber Drake down right away, as well as the Stratowise. Strawman having the Unprepared to stun those, but that's really not going to be... I mean, you don't really need to use these dragons. You just need to blow them up. So we'll see if Joanie has the Gift of Amber, because right now... Ooh, we do have a... Generous offer. Where'd the Amber go? Maybe she did not have one Amber. Yeah, never mind. There's just captured Amber. So it does need one more Amber, aside from the Gift of Amber. But a Gift of Amber with one more pip does get you here. And lots of stuff here for Strawman, just getting a bunch of Star Alliance out. But notably, this is a lot of the creature control. A lot of it is more of the stun-based stuff. So see if that becomes a problem later. Plays a multi-dimensional rescue already. So having a huge hand here of Star Alliance and going to get some of it back. Gets back market fluctuation, then Historianly Darkened, and then plays the market fluctuation to discard Venomoth, Ezra Pause, and a Brillix Ponder. So not really the stuff I think you want to hit there. Joanie plays the Gift of Amber just to blow up the Amber Drake. Not gonna get the key cheat, but does get up to 7 Amber here and gets the Vapor Imp down. So this is where, again, some of your recursion has gone too with the multi-dimensional rescue gone. This Vapor Imp could become a problem real fast. Ooh, we see the Seas Forge come down. So Joanie not having an answer to this, as we saw. Skippy's not really able to do anything to this, but she could start working on a pretty solid disruption game plan here. Yeah, it is interesting how that worked, right? That the MDR, well, MDR didn't get it routed, right? It's really just the Missile Officer Myers that got changed, but there's still some really good things you can do with them. It's just different now. It's like you kind of get to see it as the card that it is rather than the crazy combo. Yeah, No, Missile Officer Myers does some intense stuff still, but it's not like the infinite nonsense we saw before. So second Amber Drake coming down already, as well as the Dust Imp here and the Ritual of Tognath. But none of that is going to get you the key here because of that Cease Forge. But that does put Strawman on a clock. We do have the Bonded Auctioneer. Plays Gatroku Scrapper, not doing anything with that. But this Bonded Auctioneer can't actually get the Cease Forge back now. So it's really interesting how some of this stuff works with artifacts. Oh, we see Joanie going really fast into a red Amber Drake as well as the Ritual of Tognath. Getting those archived. No artifact hate in Strawman's deck. Again, being a GR, that's just not something you can do. Of the many things it can do, I can't remember which house that red Amber Drake is in. I believe it's in Dis, though. Dis might be... I would assume it's the Dis one, because you archive it with the ritual here. Plays a Junk Restoration for Skippy, Manifestation, Summon Council. Just goes for the manifestation, getting more Amber here. There are some capture pips, so she could try to stop this key here, but it looks like she's just going for, yeah, Amber and draw, I think, on that one. Okay, fast Geistoid turn here from Strawman. Plays his own Junk Restoration. I mean, you get him a Met, but this is probably not the stuff you really wanted to see here. Does get them a Met. There's the Well of Memory. Okay, so what can we get back here? It'll be really interesting to see if he grabs the Island of Misfit Toys. Again, I think that is a very dangerous card to play against Joanie's deck. Junk Restoration in here somewhere look great. There's no clipped wings, I don't think, in Joanie's deck. Oh, but there is the Titan Sentry, so you actually do have to be careful even of this. There's a lot of dangerous stuff in this Amber Skies build that can kind of make some of this a little bit scary. Well of Memory on its own is still a great card, and at this point, maybe you just go for Equidon value. Maybe get the Bonded Auctioneer back so you can recycle this Cease Forge and get that back into hand. But I mean, this is a really big amount of Amber. Purges, Strength from Diversity into the Warp Core Master Body and Pentacorder. Recycle it, but you can't play it every turn in this deck, I don't think, right? You don't have the right creatures for that. Does get the Cease Forge. I guess you are up a key at the moment, but that'll stop quick, and the Vapor Imp will start slowing down things too. Can with the cheating. Well, the MD... Oh, with Missile Officer Myers, yeah, that might be an option. Okay, so here's Missile Officer Myers. See if he's got any discard pips to actually use that here. But yeah, I think everything kind of just off by one turn for Joanie. I think one more Amber on the first Gift of Amber play, you're up by a key already. And you can start doing stuff. I think you need to kill this Vapor Imp here. Keeps capturing onto the Bonded Auctioneer. Discards Missile Officer Myers. There's a discard pip on the Energy Vampirism. Missile Officer Myers now basically being a phase shift after the errata. Yeah, there's definitely some discard pips. A lot of them are in the Star Alliance, though. We found there's. Oh, I hate this bug. Drives me nuts. Okay, there's the Cease Forge coming back down. Again, Joanie not having that hard artifact control. But you can still remove the well. I'm trying to think if there's ways. I guess there's going to be a deck flip here. In here somewhere is going to grab some stuff. But again, if Joanie's got the Titan Sentry, that could slow down all of this stuff going on. But it is a problem right now. A lot happened on there that was really hard to see. This is one of the tough things with playing on TCO is all of this stuff is just things that are happening between like the hand and the discard, so it's really hard for us to capture. But basically, played a lot of cards, did some archiving with Mehmet, Energy Vampirism to do some capturing and killing off the Vapor Imp, and then using the house cheat on Missile Officer Myers to replay that Ceaseforge, which was brought back by the Well of Memory. So we get the discard of the Skippy the Glorious to put Well of Memory in the discard. It is one of the tough things, and that's like one of the toughest parts about like trying to cast this game or even just like put it in front of new players is like TCO is just not the easiest to follow. And it's unfortunate. It's still amazing for being completely community driven, but it's very not pretty when it comes to those things. Effect resolution is very hard to track if you're not just reading really fast. Unfortunately, this Gatorki Scrapper also doesn't really help with the Ceaseforge. I think you do need to kill or deal with some of these Equidon creatures because at the moment, they'll actually be able to just reap and bring back things like the Well of Memory. Plays a Brillix Ponder here with a discard pip. Discarding Titan Sentry. There's not really a way to recur that here, is there? I wonder if that was missequenced there. Trying to think why you wouldn't play the Titan Sentry there. I guess now if Lee Darkin reaps, it goes back into your hand. So does the Well of Memory here. I don't know. That was a very interesting play. I'm not exactly sure what the thinking was there. I think you want to stop Strawman from picking up that archives this turn if you can. I guess it just gets fought off by these, but that's fine if it stops him from being able to get the recursion going. You get Brillix Ponder getting blown up there. And again, the Amber on these guys doesn't really matter a whole lot. Joanie has enough to forge. There's the Grizzly Exchange. This is a really interesting card. To put the top 5 cards of your opponent's discard pile on the bottom of their deck and then discard the top 5 cards of your deck. So it kind of tries to make your opponent less haunted while it tries to make you more haunted. There's a generous offer, so he's going to do some stealing and destroying a creature, which is going to get you an extra draw off the Thought Catcher. Does get the Historian Lead Arcan, so it gets rid of some of that recursion, but we already have the Well of Memory back. Fights with the Sapper, so does stop the Ceaseforge for one more turn here. Which means Joanie will be able to get 1 key at the start of her turn. This is actually still a pretty decent play here. You'll be able to get 1 key at the start of your turn when the Ceaseforge pops, and then your second key you'll be able to get off of the archived Amber Drake. But I don't know how you get around this loop and get that third key. So this would be really interesting. But I do like this call. It's really tough because it's the only action she did that turn, right? Is just to fight with the Sapper. No good targets for the Energy Vampirism now. So some of these actions might be a little bit less valuable. Still gonna play it. Just to get some extra capture. Scraps a second Bonded Auctioneer. Unfortunate. But that does mean, well, no, he's got the Missile Officer Myers, so he is going to be able to replay that Ceaseforge. Yeah, I forgot about the second Bonded Auctioneer. That's tough. I'm not sure if we knew he had archived that or not. I don't think so. So I must have just drawn into it there. Do get the Well of Memory. Doing a second purge here of market fluctuations, both of them, Strength from Diversity and the Tribute Collector. There's a demo just to give more value to the Thought Catcher. Chunk Restoration for some extra capture here. There's a demo, second demo with some discard pips. Is going to be able to return the Well of Memory to his hand by discarding the second Bonded Auctioneer. Okay, so that's one of the cards he got back with the Well of Memory, knowing he's going to be able to bounce that again. And then now we can replay the Keyforge. This is a pretty nasty list. This is, again, just one of the crazy things we've seen throughout this season of Final Refrain with Alliance specifically is how devastating not having hard artifact removal can be in certain matchups. It's not every matchup, but in some of these, it's just like, if you don't have it, then you just do not have hardly a good way of stopping the sort of lockout kind of plays, which is just so much rare. Like, you just don't see that as much in Archon. And I think you just see more artifact removal naturally in Archon. Sure, only purging our matters here. Well, is that true? Because if you just destroy the Keyforge and then, like, if you have a Poltergeist in this dis, you're still able to key cheat on the turn you blow it up. Right? So it, like, it's not everything, but it does help. And then if you have things like Haunting Deck or whatever, but yeah, it's tough against this one specifically. Okay, so it is going to blow up that Thought Catcher, gain a bunch of Amber. The amount of clicking this is doing, though, has got to be crazy. Like, these are some crazy turns. Right. It doesn't matter if you don't have key cheats. If you do have a key cheat, again, you can kind of get around it. And he just found it pretty early too, right? The Keyforge came down. What turn was that? I mean, that was turn 3 that the Keyforge came down. So at that point, yeah, you would like to just race ahead of it. And again, Joanie was one Amber off of getting that first key before the cycle started. Yeah, it's challenging for sure. But it is possible to outrace. Like, Missile Officer Myers can always be bottom decked as well. Like, there's always the variance of Keyforge. Yeah, more important to have R in Alliance than Archon. I think less people bring artifact dependent decks in Archon, whereas in Alliance, you just have the tools to make them consistent enough that you can actually do it. But in Archon, it's just so much harder to have enough consistency and to not expect to see as much artifact control in the field. Okay, so we're still going. Well of Memory is getting played again here. Just going to purge everything. I mean, the other piece of this, right, is you actually end up running out of cards to purge with the Well of Memory. But at this point, you got 32 Amber. And if the Keyforge comes back down, it's still kind of a lock. Just a couple cards left you can purge, but you are running a little bit low. And Joanie, I don't believe, has can always cycle with MOM and Market Flux. I think the Market Fluxes both got purged. Yeah, they're both gone. Again, with this Amber total, I think you're probably okay. Oh, Forging Alliance. So it's just going to be able to, yeah, kind of lock this one down now. I think that Forging an Alliance in there makes it a little bit different. But again, there's no like Drumble on Joanie's side as far as I remember. Or not, is it Drumble? Yeah. Goes for a Geistoid turn here, though. Yeah, very practiced. Very glad for these long turns. Like, Strawman knows what he's doing at least, so it's not a lot of sitting there, kind of analysis paralysis. Do get the Atomic Destabilizer going on Demo, but that is not going to be enough to stop 23 Amber at this point. And we'll see if he's able to just bounce this and then do another key cheat here. I again still really wonder about not playing the Titan Sentry on that turn. Yeah, it definitely shows. He is playing fast. Still, I mean, still taking long turns, but knows what he's going for. So there we see of memory and junk restoration. Discards the Bonded Auctioneer, which will return the Cease Forge to hand, I believe. Oh, you need a way to discard it now, I guess. Do you have more discard pips? This is where I think Sydney's deck obviously has a pretty different game plan than Joanie's, but having that Legacy Infernus just changes how you have to play in the early game with this deck so much too. That one Infernus can just ruin your game plan if you have to discard stuff early, or it just gets purged by like a one of the clipped wings. But it is so interesting how disruption is just reigning supreme in Alliance compared to just so much rush in Archon. So it doesn't get the key cheat off here, just kind of playing it safe. But again, if you're Joanie, what options do you really have on this turn? If you were able to keep one of those Vapor Imps down, you can maybe slow this down for a turn. But really only if you can discard an artifact, which I don't even think Joanie's deck has artifacts. So I don't know if that's really an option. All right, so Titan Sentry getting discarded again. There goes the Dust Imp getting blown up. Strop going to do a little bit more damage, and there goes, and there is game one going to Strawman. This is a pretty nasty little deck. Looks like a tough loop to get out of. Again, if you don't have artifact control either. So this is kind of a game where Joanie really needs to get ahead early. I think if you have early key, let's see, I'm trying to remember if her deck has any, I think there's haunting decks in here either. So not really too many ways to purge. If you can catch him off guard or catch him at the right time with the Titan Sentry after he in here somewheres, I think that could be really big. Or if you get those Vapor Imps going, I think that's the other thing is the Vapor Imps can maybe do enough disruption to stop. Problem is it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop the scrap effect on Missile Officer Myers, which is one of the things that's really interesting about it. But it does stop things like the junk restoration stuff, the cards that might have the pips to do the discard. We'll see if Strawman. So Strawman is going first again. We do get a mulligan from Joanie. No mulligan here from Strawman, so this is probably going to be... Ooh, no market fluctuation this time. Discards Missile Officer Myers. Blows up his own Historian. I don't know if that's exactly what you wanted to hit there. Tricky Sapper's gone. Missile Officer Myers already in the discard, so this is where... Ooh, Joanie getting just a rough hand there of Geistoid stuff that really is not doing anything. This is where you really want to get that Titan Sentry down fast so there's less chance of that Missile Officer Myers getting archived or back out of the archives. We've got the double discard Pip Demo. Okay, so this is going to be a in here somewhere probably. Grabbing that Missile Officer Myers. Second demo comes down. It's a pretty big hand of Geistoid here. And does get to exactly Haunted. Junk Restoration and the Missile Officer Myers. Okay. So now we're basically just looking for the Well and Ceaseforge. Some Dust Imps coming down for Joanie. There's a Gift of Amber, so this will be enough to get to check here. But we'll see if it's enough to get in before the Ceaseforge comes down. Obviously, Strawman's deck does a lot of capturing too, so this is not necessarily a given key. Do get an Equidon turn here though, so going to be a Bonded Auctioneer. Nothing to return, but there's a generous offer to do some Amber Control. Discard to second Bonded Auctioneer, so those all being in the discard too. I mean, there's a lot of the pieces that you're happy to see gone already. But again, the Well can bring them back, so you're just really hoping that the Well or the Ceaseforge are lower in the deck. Joanie goes into a Geistoid turn here. Does get the Atomic Destabilizer on Demo. Manifestation, gonna be able to do some pips from Strawman's deck. So it gets to check at 8. But really, he's just not really getting the momentum she needs, I think. There's a Star Alliance call pretty fast. Here's an Unprepared. Gonna do some stunning that will stun. Oh, sorry. Unprepared is... Oh, must have picked... Oh, yeah, picked Brobnar, so didn't want to stun his own Geistoid creatures. We got Body coming down, getting some capturing. Pentacorder also doing some taxing, so not going to be easy keys for Joanie here for key 1. More stall in this deck, too, than I thought, even without the Ceaseforge. But another turn here without the Ceaseforge means Joanie might have a chance to get at least one of these Amber Drake keys fired off. Otherwise, again, I think that... Ooh, there's the Empyrean Charge discarding the archives. All right, so that helps. But again, the Well of Memory can just get so much of that back right away. I almost... Yeah, I mean, if you don't have the Sentry, then it doesn't really matter. But... Okay, takes the Body off the board with the Deanimator. Skippy coming down, doing some archiving. Still doesn't get to check that turn though. I think your clock is running just about out if you're Joanie here. Mamet does pick up the Missile Officer Myers there. So that's back in Archives, which is, I feel like it being in Archives is almost better if you're Joanie and you can find the Titan Sentry. That would be just about perfect scenario here if you can do that and then maybe clean up the board a little bit. There's Energy Vampirism. Okay, kills off the Mamet to get another archive for the Grizzly Exchange. Does also gain Amber because of the demos. Lots of Amber. But is going to lose some at the end of this turn because of this Atomic Destabilizer. We'll see if he's got any more left to do here. Oh, it's going to reap. So that counts. Goes back down to 6, but is still at check here for key 1. It's go time for Joanie. I think you see 6 cards left in hand, 6 in deck. This is kind of a make or break. We do see the red Amber Drake coming down. Let's see if we get a ritual or something. There's the ritual. All right, so first key is going to be going to Joanie here. It will be the red key with that Amber Drake. Dynamok coming down, not as impactful here. Once the well cycling is going, it just kind of doesn't really affect too much. And fast Geistoid call, so this will probably be Well of Memory coming down. Fights off the Venomoth right away. And the Skippy. Interesting. Just trying to make sure there's no Logos board that can fight this stuff off if the Titan Sentry comes down. But I think at this point, the archiving is less of an issue now. Yeah, with the Well of Memory coming. Still don't have the Cease Forge. We'll see if he's got it in hand here. Purges 4 from hand. To get Energy Vampirism, Junk Restoration, Bonded Auctioneer, and Forging an Alliance. So that Junk Restoration may be able to find your Cease Forge here. Does not flip a Cease Forge. Place Thought Catcher. So if you can kill one of these demos now, you can draw into the Cease Forge. Here's an Energy Vampirism, so might target his own creature here with this. Again, it might be in hand. We don't know. But the way he is digging makes me think it is not. Captures onto demo. Does kill the demo as well, so it is going to get a bunch of amber and the draw here. Off of the Thought Catcher. Oh, kills both of them. Interesting. When did the Well of Memory get bounced? Discards a Bonded Auctioneer. Okay, so that's when it got bounced off of the Energy Vampirism. Playing it again, purging 3 more. Getting back the demos and the Junk Restoration. Okay, so now we know 100% the Cease Forge is in hand. You do have to play it here because you can't let Joanie get this second key with the possibility of the key cheat in hand. Here's a multi-dimensional rescue played off of the Missile Officer Myers. You could still get the Missile Officer Myers back, but you can't keep cycling the multi-dimensional rescue anymore because of the errata. We get back Island of Misfit Toys, Energy Vampirism, Missile Officer Myers, and Pentacorder. Interesting call to get back the island. I guess you have to get an artifact, right? And that's the only one in the discard. Yeah. Plays the Energy Vampirism again, is going to hit his own demo again. I don't know if you want to flip here. Is able to bounce it again. You're running out of cards to purge here, I gotta think, right? So you just get back the Missile Officer. Purges the island and the Pentacorder. Interesting. Just gets the Energy Vampirism and the Bonded Auctioneer. And then flips the deck. Am I missing something? I think flipping the deck there with Missile Officer Myers in it is super risky, right? I guess you can just keep playing Junk Restoration. A rule of 6 that pretty fast here. We're already on. We're only on 2 Junk Restorations. That would be impressive. All right, Well of Memory comes back. Only have 2 cards to purge here, though. At most. Purges both of them. Generous Offer and Veil. Finds a Miss Lobster Myers with the Junk Restoration. Crazy. Energy Vampirism again. Plays the Forging an Alliance, so does get to check there. For key 3 now. Plays the Cease Forge. Key cheats key 2 with the Forging an Alliance. Yeah, just crazy. So much stuff going on there. And I feel like at some point I would have lost track of at least one of the cards I needed for that combo. But like we said, Strawman has been practicing this one a lot. Oh, why am I? Maybe it's just my lighting is bad. That's why my camera is looking all like fuzzy. All right, so Skippy the Glorious is ditching the Well of Memory. As her pause comes down to look at the hand. Sees the Gatroku Scrapper, but I think at this point, you know, that's not getting played. Oh, shoot, I definitely forgot to change the score. We are on 1-0 currently for Strawman, and we are probably fairly close to this being a wrap. I'm not quite sure what Joanie can do from here. Titan Sentry does come down, but only 1 card in archives here. Oh, it's a random one, so that could be, I mean, I don't know that makes a huge difference. He does in here somewhere. But again, with the Cease Forge, you're just on a clock where next turn, if you're Joanie, if you can't deal with this Amber, then it's all over. Gets Unprepared and Strength from Diversity. So Joanie needs to deal with 12, 6 Amber, 7 Amber. Not sure if Geistoid can do that, but we'll see what she comes up with. Plays in here somewhere for Ritual and Manifestation. Junk Restoration. Plays the Stratawise with some discard pips. And there it is. Strawman takes game 2. That's a pretty scary deck. That does some nasty stuff. And again, Strawman being very practiced with some of those turns, getting through super long turns very fast, gaining tons of Amber, just kind of recycling in this sort of roundabout way the Well of Memory, the Energy Vampirism, Bonded Auctioneer, and then the Miss Lobster Myers to be able to have these key cheats to get the Cease Forge in there as well. So I think that is our first challenger to win one of these challenger matches, which is pretty fun. We have one more of those tomorrow that will be happening. We're almost done with another week of this season. We're going to be down to our semifinals next week for the final refrain. I think we're going to do a couple more challenger matches next week as well. Yeah, big congrats to Strawman. Again, kind of proven he deserves to be in here next year. We'll see if he can do that at some of the vault tours this year. But yeah, taking down a very, very worthy opponent in Joanie, but just a rough matchup, which we've seen with Alliance matchups can be pretty brutal, depending on how they work. But just in general, the disruption stuff, we just see kind of taken Joni saying, I hate Keyforge. Yeah, it did a lot. But it was a lot more than that. I think even like it'd be interesting to see if you didn't find the Keyforge game one, or if you found it even one turn later, how much it changes the dynamic. But was able to find it and kind of get the combo going, and then having that key cheat in there honestly is more just a mercy than anything. Just making sure the game is closing out a little bit faster than you think. But all right, I need to go eat some dinner. Thank you all for hanging out and watching. Fudgenator, good to see you as always. Riku, I thought it was almost like, isn't it like 5 a.m. for you or something? Maybe it's a little bit later now, but I thought you were up super late, so I don't know why you're awake. But yeah, be on the lookout for those games tomorrow, and we'll see you for the recap. It's 8 a.m. That's fair. See y'all for the recap on Saturday, and make sure you check in for the channel for the new predictions and all of that. But we'll see you next time on the Final Frame. You woke up. Oh, you just woke up at 3 a.m. so that you could cast that and didn't go back to bed. I would be back to bed in a heartbeat. But that's fair. All right. Thanks y'all for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.